Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Michael from Tactica Imperialis. So, firstly, how are you today?
Yeah, not so bad. Finally broken the back of uni work, so can finally start getting back on the hobby hype train, thanks to a very specific preview that we'll talk about in a minute.
You broke your uni work just like Russ broke the back of Magnus. Sorry, had to be done.
Out.
Sorry.
Out.
It had to be done. I'm sorry, it had to be done. Anyway.
I punched out one of his hearts. Why does nobody I can't do high pitch, man. Damn it.
Why does no one remember I punched out one of his hearts? Ow.
I can't. I
can't do it either, I can't do it either, but don't matter. Anyway. In the news this week, quite a lot of things in regards to Space Wolves, so that Russ was kind of a teaser. It was perfectly planned. It was perfect. It was perfectly planned. Even though it totally bloody wasn't, it just was. Shut up.
So, as of the time of recording, on pre-order this week is the Space Wolves Codex.
Yes. Time. We've been playing long enough.
The last of the Starters Codex was... When was Death Watch? May? April?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah, because Dark Angels, Blood Angels were in December, so in terms of mainline of Starters Codex, we're going back to 2017 last time we had a Space Marine Codex. But it's been a while, and I still don't care.
Well, maybe you care about the fact that also coming out to coincide with this is Tooth and Claw, which is Space Wolves against Genestealer cults, and a nice-looking box set.
Yeah. So it's going to be Primaris Space Wolves, so a Primaris battle leader, as well as intercessors, aggressors, and a Redemptor Dread, versus a mix of pure strain Genestealers, an Acolyte Icon Ward, some hybrid Metamorphs. I think there's some Aberrants in there, and the Abominant, a brand new Genestealer cult mega tank character.
It's a mini Carnifex.
Yeah, I mean, the thing has a weapon that's damage D6, minimum of 3, so it's actually going to hit like an absolute truck.
Yep.
But what's actually more interesting to me, going back to Spaces, I know I said I don't care, that's primarily because of the other thing that got previewed this week, but the other reason is because Thousand Suns preferences, you might have noticed. But the one thing that's interesting to me is how far Primaris have got and how they fit in with the Space Wolves. Because there are rules, and I've seen this in the preview, in the Space Wolf Codex, for Primaris Wolf Lords.
Which would be interesting.
And I'm sorry, but I have many, many questions. Question 1, which Wolf Lord died and how did Primaris get up to that position in 200 years? Like, how long did Ragnar take to get from birth to Wolf Lord? I've got that
in regards to which Wolf Lord died, Eagle Iron Wolf.
True, but how would a Primaris earn the position of Wolf Lord fast, immediately straight out the gate?
That's easy. He outdrank Logan Grimnar.
Possible. I mean, actually, to be fair, Ragnar did it. I mean, Ragnar did it in 42 years. From induction to Wolf Lord took him 42 years. So
42 years for Ragnar, 200 years for a Primaris. I can see that happening.
It's conceivable, assuming that the Space Wolves got over their issues with the Primaris quickly, and that a Wolf Lord liked one enough to put him into his Wolf Guard quickly, and he won over all of said Wolf Guard in order to be conceived as worthy of replacing that Wolf Lord. It's doable, but the other option is that the Space Wolves instituted a special Primaris Great Company, and I'm willing to bet that that's also an option, because the Primaris can't go through the same system that the regular wolves do. They don't have blood claw packs, so to speak. At least we don't think they do. So it will be interesting to see how the Primaris fit in with the wolves.
I'm sure the Space Wolves Codex will, go into more detail when it's finally released, but the one thing I'm curious about is which person had the bright idea of sticking a wolf in a dreadnought.
Now I looked this up. I actually went and checked. From the articles on Warhammer community, it's not a wolfen in a dreadnought. It's kind of more like the Death Company dreadnoughts, whereas the dreadnoughts are coming to their floor post-internment.
Right, okay.
I had the same question. It's like, why have they put a wolfen in a dreadnought? But no, it's more like when a dreadnought goes Black Rage, a dreadnought just goes wolfen, which I can sort of excuse.
I've now got this stupid image in my head of this Dreadnought just acting normally, then all of a sudden it starts growing a bunch of thick body hair and starts growing a wolf face. Dreadnought goes full-blown werewolf.
To be fair, I was expecting it just to be a rewrite of the Murderfang rule. They're not. The Murderfang's still going to be a thing, as well as the Wolf and Dreadnought. So...
Wasn't Murderfang a special character, though?
I can't even remember. I have not actually played 40k since New Year's Day, so I'm so out the loop in terms of what's played. I know that's really bad that there's already 40k lore every week. I have not played 40k in 8 months. It's shocking, I know. But hey, here we are. I will say though, with Tooth and Claw, it looks like a really nice box set, and the good thing actually about it is it's a Space Wolf box, but it's not for Space Wolf players solely. Because unlike in the past, where Space Wolves were Grey Hunters, Bloodclaws, Longfangs, they were nothing like the other chapters. Yes, they were nothing like the Codex chapters. Primaris are. So if you're an Ultramarine player or a Black Templar player, you can buy that box and just fob off the Wolf Lord on somebody else.
Or you can make your own chapter and just claim it's a Space Wolf successor.
Yes,
because you can do that now.
Is a thing. Yeah, the Wolf Spear is a thing, and there'll probably be others that you can homebrew now. So it's a good time to be a Space Wolf player, I would say. It's a good time.
It's a good time to be a Genestealer player as well, with this box set coming out, which makes me think that with the Orc Codex being announced for October, more on that later, makes me think before then, will the Genestealer Codex actually come next?
They promised Orcs were next. Orcs and Space Wolves are the next two. They promised that. So I'm thinking what it'll be Space Wolves end of August. Then we'll get an AOS release, and from things I've seen of things going off sale, I'm thinking it might be Slanesh, though don't hold me to that. Then it will be Orcs in October. Then I'm thinking it will either be Genestealers and an AOS faction, and then we'll go into the Christmas releases, or we might potentially open December with Genestealers. I'm thinking they'll just alternate releases now, is my guess.
Possibly.
But I'm willing to be correct. But I know Orcs are next after Wolves. They promised that. And if they don't, then they've kind of screwed over their Orc player base and basically lied to them. Which, I mean, it's Orcs, but I don't approve.
So let's jump into October, speaking of the Orcs.
Just one final comment on Genestealer Gods before we do.
Oh, yes.
And on Space Wolves. So the Space Wolves chapter tactic. +1 to hit in the first round of combat. Jesus, ow.
Suits them.
And for Genestealer Gods, they've actually made this box which perfectly complements Deathwatch Overkill. If you look at the old Deathwatch Overkill box, if that's still available or not, it was a Magus, a Primus, a Patriarch, Neophytes, Acolytes, and 2 Aberrants. Notice something? The only thing they cross... Oh, and there was a couple of Pure Strains as well. But nothing in Tooth and Claw, barring 2 models pretty much, was in Overkill. So if you have Overkill, Tooth and Claw is the perfect expansion on that. So if you're a Genestealer Club player from the past, you're not repeating yourself by buying Tooth and Claw. Just a nice little bonus for you.
And speaking of repeated models, the Orc Buggy is getting an upgrade. After 21 years, the old Jez Goodwin sculpt will be finally discontinued and replaced with a much larger, much more Mad Max looking buggy.
Yeah, it's kind of going back to its roots. It looks like a proper race car. I don't know what the gun on the back of it is, though. I've got no idea what that gun is.
Maybe a custom Mega Blaster or something, I don't know.
It could be, but looking at what I know of Orc weapons, the only weapon that looks vaguely similar is the Zap gun. But that gun is so big that they put it on battle wagons. So, what's it going to be? I'm just curious.
What does a gun on the current War Buggy count as in the modern rules, considering that was sculpted as a multi-melter?
It's a big shooter.
It's a big shooter that's sculpted as a multi-melter. Fucking brilliant.
I think they've added some big ammo clips to the top of it or something. But yeah, it's either a big shooter, and I think there's an option to turn it into a rocket launcher, and the typical builds for it. And then the Scorcher was a metal upgrade.
Fair enough.
At least that's how I remember it from the 4th edition Codex and January. Which, by the way, I know I sound old when I'm saying this, but I kind of prefer January as a pun to October, just because that was 4 months after I got the hobby was January in 2009. I feel old now.
You feel old. You're talking to someone who's been into the hobby since 2nd edition.
Yeah,
and you're talking about
old.
feeling
I just
old.
feel old.
Oh, fucking charming.
Well, I do apologise, but we'll say...
Back in my day, we had movement stats and Bloodthirsters had 10 attacks.
We used to have movement stats again.
Shut up.
But yes, the Orc War Buggy is being redone, and I assume that means Scorcher will be redone too, just for common sense. Now, this is actually being done, what seems to be in tandem with a release known as Speed Freaks.
Which I'm hoping is Gorkamorka 2.0.
Now, there's two lines of thought here, because I actually had to go and look up what Gorkamorka was as a game, because I've heard loads about Gorkamorka, the Gorkas, the Morkas, the Diggers, the Muties, and all that, but I never knew what it was as a game. I just knew about its fluff.
It was basically Necromunda with vehicles.
Exactly, that's what it was. But that was a skirmish game with a warband builder and vehicles as an extra mechanic. Speed Freaks, if it's what I think it is, sounds more like wacky races with orcs.
I mean, there was that little game that got released, was it Grot Racers or whatever it was called?
There's a new game coming out called Gretchens, I think.
That's it, yeah, that's it.
That's not out yet, I believe. It's like a cardboard racer with grots. So I'm not opposed to wacky races with orcs. I'm completely down with wacky races with orcs.
Surely you mean wacky races.
I walk right into that. But yes, I'd be quite down with that. Whether it's Gorkamorka, whether it's a pure race game, because we've seen with Gangs of Car, they can do arena-based games to some degree of success or another. And orc racing has been enshrined in canon since, well, at least 4th edition with Wazdaka, who was a racer.
2nd.
Who got disqualified.
No, it's actually been going since 1st edition, I believe, as well, with the Cult of Speed. I think that was in the Freebooters book initially.
Yeah, that makes sense. The Cult of Speed is a standalone operation from the clan.
No, sorry, it was from Here We Go. My bad.
You see, this is why it helps to have Remleiz in the core, people. He knows this old stuff that I don't. But yeah, I'm very much down with whatever they do with it, and it'll be great to see a proper racing game if that's what they do. If it's Gorkamorka, also very much down. We'll just have to see.
Yes.
Also, did you know that Tooth and Claw is a sequel to Kill Team?
I did not know that, no. But when you mentioned about the models...
Same planet.
Same planet, oh.
Yeah, it's Vigilus. The battles in Kill Team, the box was Skitarii versus Gene.
I think your mic just cut out.
Well, Kill Team, as I was trying to say, it's Gene Stealers versus Skitarii, was it not? Or Mechanica, correct?
Yeah, it was Skitarii.
Yeah, so those battles were the initial skirmishes before everything went out of hand and the Space Wolves got kind of called in. And the Orcs are actually on Vigilus too, because Vigilus is in a place called the Narkmund Gauntlet. It's the last stop in the only stable corridor between Light and Dark Imperium.
Oh, I remember reading about that because I read Castellan recently, and that was a key feature in that.
Yes.
It's also controlled by a bunch of pirates.
Well, right. I didn't get that far in my reading. But yes, Vigilus is this really, really important planet. But its hive cities were surrounded by force fields that rendered comatose anyone who went through them. So when the Orcs arrived and launched their war, they could not break the cities. So they just started racing on the dust flats.
Fair enough.
And that's what I think. I bring this up now because that's what I think Speed Freaks might be if it's a standalone game.
Fair enough. It'll make sense, all things considered. I have to admit.
Yeah. I think we shall see. Also, new Gazcore model, please.
I'm sure we're bound to get one if they're taking this long to do the Orc stuff. I'm pretty sure they're thinking, what can we actually change and upgrade?
Yeah. Gazcore, please. Deathcopter's kit, please. The only one we have is Blackreach, and that's not really widely available. What else?
Unless you go to your local toy shop. With the paint and build model kits, which most of them are a bunch of second edition model sculpts like those Terminators. Those Terminator models from those kits are from the second edition of Space Hulk. I know, I had Space Hulk second edition. I got it for £10 from Games Workshop. This was back when second edition was being phased out for third, so all codices were £1, and each box game was about £10 each. So I just bought Space Hulk for £10, got 20 Gene Stealers and 10 Terminators for £10. Bargain.
Bloody hell.
As well as a shit ton of dice templates and board tiles. Bargain.
Bargain. I was just thinking of other alt models that could be redoing. The Weird Boy, I think, is still in metal, or it's still in Finecast. That would be nice. Is there anything else? Yeah. Commandos, they're still in metal.
The Goth Rockers, they need redoing.
Wishful thinking.
I can dream.
We can dream, but I think that one is wishful thinking.
I think the one that's wishful thinking is having a new Ragnar Blackmane model, which is the same one since edition 1.5.
Now on stilts.
Yes, with his baby boosties.
Yeah. One thing we should also point out, the weekend between us recording this and you hearing it, the weekend of the 18th of August, is Warhammer Fest Europe. Now, that hasn't happened as we record this video, so we can't talk about what gets revealed there. So if you know something and we don't, that's why it has physically not happened in our world yet. So if there's something interesting, we'll talk about it next time, I'm sure.
Yes.
Just wanted to put that PSA disclaimer in there before someone got any things like, well, they've actually shown this and this and this and this for the Orcs. Why didn't you talk about that? Because we genuinely don't know. Sorry.
It hadn't happened yet. We haven't got access to the warp. We can't travel back in time. We're not Grizzluts.
Sadly not. One thing that we can talk about, though, yes, Titanicus, I'm assuming, is where you were going with that.
Actually, I was going to go with a Nakara Scoria, who's available for pre-order from Forge World at £80. The Dark Mechanicum Tech Priest Person Scorpion monster thingy, who's absolutely bloody huge.
And apparently amazingly OP, so I've heard.
I can imagine. I mean, it's literally got like animal skulls on the end of a mechadendrites and huge spider legs, big stick, and a scorpion stinger tail of death. Yeah, it's going to be OP because just look at the bloody thing.
It's gorgeous, though.
It's meticulously well-sculpted ugliness.
Yeah, it's kind of like the G-Circuit models, actually. They're ugly as hell to look at, but they're meant to be, and they look great as a result.
Oh, yeah. But yes, going back to Titanicus, which is apparently already completely sold out. Didn't take bloody long.
No, I'm not bloody shocked either, because how long have we been waiting for this cocking thing?
About 3 weeks.
No, I mean, like, I'm talking about Titanicus as a rule, not just the game, not just this new game. I mean, it was announced at Warhammer Fest.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah. I think people are just desperate for a new version of Epic, even though it's not quite the same scale as Epic anymore, but...
No. There was a battle report for it in the newest White Dwarf for August. I had a read of that, and it's freaking complicated.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Like, you've got damage counters for your reactor, your void shield. They've got repair services that are like 1 use only or 3 uses only. You've got overcharging your reactor that also creates like damage on your reactor. You've got putting power in different places to overcharging your reactor to do it. You've got so many different things to manage. Like, they've got this massive whack-off card of data that you have to micromanage.
Oh, sorry. I need to make a correction. It's not completely sold out. It's just the Grand Collection Master thing. The one that's got everything in it. That's sold out.
Yeah, I can imagine that being sold.
The basic rule set's still available, as is the Warlord Collection, which basically just has a single Warlord Titan in it and a couple of turrets. That's it.
Yay. But yeah...
Which no one bought, because everyone bought the Grandmaster Collection.
Because of course they did. But yeah, it looks like it's a really interesting and very deep game. But I think the price of admission, at least for me, is too high. I don't care about it enough to spend nearly £100 on it. I just don't.
Fair enough. And in other game news as well, House Cawdor is now available for Necromunda.
As are Genestealer cults.
Yes, surprisingly.
I mean, you knew they were going to bring in non-gang factions eventually.
I know, but I was kind of hoping it would be something more akin to, maybe like the rat skin, tribes or the scavy mutants and stuff. I was thinking more Outlanders rather than just house gangs. But
yeah,
if we have to have Xenos, we got Xenos.
Yeah, Genestealer cults, Chaos cults, I think they make sense. Going beyond that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I can't exactly imagine an orc mob going involved in the Underhive. Even though there were orcs on Necromunda.
There was basically everything on Necromunda.
Well, yeah, everything's on... pretty much everything in the galaxy that will kill you is on Necromunda. All you got to do is look at my Xenozoology series. Pretty much every animal from there is from Necromunda.
Yep, pretty much.
Because Necromunda wants to kill you.
And staying in specialist games, a bunch of star players and stuff for Blood Bowl. Eldril, Sidewinder, a bunch of cheerleaders. I don't know if they're perma available, if they're just unlimited. No, they seem to be permanently available. So that'll be nice and fun. A different bunch of cheerleaders, a human booster, and Eldril Sidewinder for the moment.
Isn't that the Dark Elf player?
It's the Harlequin.
For Blood Bowl? A Harlequin?
Well, it's got to... I'll show you the model. It's kind of... It's not high...
Are you sure it's not like a Wood Elf? A Wood Elf Shadow Dancer?
It's neither high nor dark, and it doesn't look very woody to me either. Here, I'll show you in our little group chat. Like, it just screams Harlequin to me.
Yeah, that's a Wood Elf War Dancer.
Is it?
Yes, it's a Wood Elf War Dancer.
Sorry, not a fantasy nerd.
It even says in the description, belonging to a singular class within Wood Elf Society, the War Dancers.
Oh, shut up.
I thought you were supposed to be the fantasy expert here, Mr. Age of Sigmar.
I'm the Age of Sigmar expert here, ish. Fantasy, not so much.
It's the same timeline. Same universe, same continuity.
What else don't exist anymore? Have you not noticed? They're called Wanderers now. But anyway.
It's still part of your continuity timeline.
I've not read the old End Times books. I actually asked in the new poll about which old book do you want back for End Times King, because I've not read it. But hey, I know, I'm out of touch with old fantasy lore. But this brings me on to kind of 2 points. Point one, I hope if you wanted a dragon, you bought it, because Malekith, Imric, and the Sisters of Twilight were available for a week on Made to Order. I actually went and bought Malekith, because bloody hell, lovely model. And the second point is kind of about Blood Bowl itself, because Blood Bowl is probably the specialist game I'm most likely to buy into of all of them.
I mean, I bought the, I say bought, years ago when you could get subscription services to White Dwarf and actually get a game as part of your 2-year subscription service. Service. I got Blood Bowl. This was the second edition Blood Bowl, I believe it was. The one that had orcs and humans in the box. I didn't really much care about it, to be honest. I found it quite boring. Very repetitive and samey.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've watched the video game version, Blood Bowl and Blood Bowl 2. I've seen those in the game, and they look quite interesting and tactical, but I don't know how well that translates back to tabletop. Yeah.
Funny enough, I actually prefer it in video game form than tabletop form. I think it's because you get to see all the grisly details and all the hard tackles and stuff, which makes it seem a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think sometimes hiding the dice rolls behind game mechanics actually make it engaging.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the games is like, it's kind of like Battlefleet Gothic. I want to play it just so I can play it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
Plus, I've really got into Dark Elves a lot as time's gone on. Like, I've switched from High Elves to Dark Elves in terms of my general loyalties. Like, I play Order Serpentis and Darkling Covens and Daughters of Cain now.
Yeah.
So the Naggaroth Nightmares kind of suit me down to the ground. And the idea of having an assassin on my team shanking people, just, yeah, sure.
And then you run up against a dwarf who's got a massive steamroller.
Oh, get in the bin with the death roller.
That's the weirdest thing I've seen. There was... I'm trying to remember some of the old Orc and Goblin Star players, because they were stupid, like the one on the pogo stick. And there's the one who actually just had a full-blown chainsaw.
Oh,
and it's like, how the hell do you sneak that onto the pitch past the referee?
I mean, I think the death roll, at least in the video game, had a mechanic where it got sent off at half-time.
Yeah.
So you couldn't use it for the entire game no matter what. But, yeah.
One thing I liked about the video game of Blood Bowl, or Blood Bowl 2 at least anyway, we had a little side mission thing to try and do during a game. Like with, the commentators, Jim and Bob, Jim being the vampire and Bob being the ogre. And then Jim's like, I'm sorry, I'm just so hungry, but those witch elves sure look delicious. If someone can knock them, injure them during, before half time, I might be able to get something to eat. And if you actually knock the witch elves off the pitch, then you automatically win the game because the vampire just drinks their blood and just, fudges the score in your favour.
Actually, there was a funny conversation that I was having, or there were a few people in a Discord server I'm in were having, about how Blood Bowl works now in terms of universes. Because the Blood Bowl the Blood Bowl universe was its own thing, even aside from the fantasy universe. Because it never made sense that you just have a high elf and a dark elf and get on a pitch and play American football. Just no.
Yeah.
So someone was saying, as Nuffle become his own god and carved out his own realm, gathers the races of the old play hand egg for his amusement. I'd be down for that, of trying to establish...
Well, here's the thing. While it may be its own separate universe now, don't forget all of GW's IP universe-wise are connected via the warp.
Yeah, the warp does link 40k and Age of Sigmar.
Not only that, also links Dark Future as well. I mean, do you remember, the book with Elvis the Bounty Hunter coming across a church dedicated to Tzeentch?
I've not read it, but I've heard tell of it. You've said it before, I'm sure.
I mean, the June 2018 edition of White Dwarf just flat out states, yeah, Slaanesh was created by the Eldari, then they got bored and walked over to the fantasy universe and took an interest in the elves because they look so much like the Eldari.
Yeah,
that was from an Ask Ron Brindle segment.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Grombrindal basically confirmed the link between 40Ks and AOS Nash.
Yeah, so anyone saying they're not connected can shut up because they are.
Yeah, they are.
Straight from the horse's mouth, they're connected.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting if a Stormcast Eternals reforging went wrong and it just landed in the Imperial Palace. Like, what realm is this, human? And it was like,
I thought you were going to say something along the lines of its forging went wrong and it came out of its chamber looking like an ultramarine.
You see, I wasn't conforming to memes. Fuck you.
Well, at least it wasn't a Blood Raven. It'll just steal everything from the Roman Vizier. Hey! That's conforming to memes.
Yeah, and you could just have, what would it be? Like, a ship gets lost in the warp and suddenly there's a Space Marine strike force in High Azir. And the chamber's like, Lord Sigma, you can't possibly mean to work these warriors into your armies. The hell I can't!
Either that or just encounter, a bunch of airships from the Caradron Overlords and think, oh look, squats!
Mic drop. That needed a mic drop. Never mind. But yes, agreed. I think it will be fun to see if they ever do attempt some very subtle, sneaky crossovers that aren't the Chaos Gods. I don't know if I'll like it, but it'll be fun to see them try.
I think I need to do some more crossovers, just, for cheekiness' sake. I mean, I remember in the 5th edition of... was it the 5th edition? No, 6th edition... Or was it 7th edition? Anyway, one of the early editions of Fantasy, or one of the later editions, whatever. One of the editions of Fantasy had the Albion campaign. So basically, everyone's going to England to try and get some shit. And
that was 7th edition, actually, I think, yeah.
Oh, there you go, then. And the magical items, like, look at these magical items. A power fist. A vortex grenade. What?
What? What?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they've got to be subtle with their references, and that's what I think I really like sometimes about the way they write their lore, is that they write them in such a way that if you know the reference, you know, but if you don't know the reference, you're not confused by the reference and you just accept it. That's what GW is really good at with their references.
Funnily enough, I was reading through the old Liber Chaotica recently, and for those you don't know, Liber Chaotica is an old series of books set in Warhammer Fantasy, written from the perspective of a Sigmarite wizard, where he talks about things in 40k.
Yeah,
it's fantasy. Like when he's talking about the creation of Slaanesh, instead of mentioning the Eldar, he calls the race the Elders. And when talking about the Black Crusade, instead of referencing Abaddon, they call him the Abandoned One.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing. I mean, nobody would miss a beat if they didn't know that reference. But if you know that reference, you just raise a wry smile in the corner.
Yeah. Like when the demon prince Angron launches his assault upon the realm of Cadium, or realm of Armageddon. Sorry, realm of Armageddon.
Yeah.
And then when talking about Magnus the Red, and he got the Sigmarite priest saying, he's called Magnus. Isn't that ironic, considering Magnus is one of the biggest servants of Sigmar?
Lol. I think actually, I don't know if they changed it, but was there a map of the Realm of Chaos in the Liber Chaotic?
No, but there was one in the 8th edition Demon's Army book, which showed on the map the Eye of Terror.
Yes, I wouldn't know if that was from the Liber Chaotica and just been...
No, that was actually from the 8th edition Demon book, that came out after the Liber Chaotica, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I mean, we should stress 8th edition fantasy, not 8th edition 4.
Yeah.
Should stress that, just because now both games have reached 8th edition.
That's true. Well, technically, Age of Sigmar is now 2nd edition.
Yeah, AOS is now in its 2nd edition, so yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's the one I was from the Liber Malefic, not the Liber Chaotic.
Yeah, Liber Malefic is the book in a book, the book in a book kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Fun is fun.
Funny enough, I need to get hold of the complete edition of the Liber Chaotica, because they had 4 editions, one to each Chaos God, but there was also a complete edition, which is all those volumes, plus an additional 5th volume exclusive to that, which was detailing things like Sigmar and the Emperor.
Oh god, that would set the theorists running.
Yes, so guess who's ordered a copy?
Yep. What else have you been reading of late? Because I saw something you posted on Twitter that was like really well.
Well, I've been reading Evil Sun Rising, which is like the only orc novella. It's not even a novel, it's a novella. But it's like the only novella I've seen that's entirely from the orc's point of view, and it's fucking brilliant.
Also, is it just me who gets a Bad Moon Rising reference out of that? Or is it... Sorry, it's the only thing I could think of. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure that was intentional, considering that a Bad Moon ends up being the main villain. But yeah, it's like one of the few things you see detailing, what orcs do when they're not constantly having a fight. Like, there's actual orc politics and stuff like that, and like what orcs generally do in their downtime. Like, this is one scene where these two Gretchen are arguing, then one shouts really loud, and then... sorry to interrupt, just got a message. Our guest should be here shortly.
Yes. I think we'll keep going, and then we'll let them join, and we'll have some interesting discussion with them.
Yes. We'll just leave it at that.
Yes. But anyway, I think it's interesting you said that, because when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was, this is going to sound like a really odd thing to reference, of the librarian from Monsters University. Just like, you make a noise, you get booted out, and I can just imagine an orc doing that.
Yeah. And I think our guest just arrived.
Yes, indeed. So we'll let them join the call, and then we'll make the introductions, I think, because we have had a plan for a guest this entire episode, but they're just running a little late and get through the boring news stuff.
Yes. They'll be ready in 5 minutes, they said, and they apologize for being late, but it's all right.
Yep, let's carry on with Evil Sun's Rising, shall we?
Yes. So these two grots are arguing. One shouts really loud, then covers his mouth as if to say, like, oh shit. And both Crocs slowly turn to the sleeping orc in a hammock. and the orc just goes, get me some pie.
Oh, that's so orcs. That's so orcs.
It also has one of the most charming moments ever, like when the orc wakes up and the Grok goes, do you fancy a cup of tea? What do you want? Do you want mushroom or squig stock? And the orc goes, yeah, cuppa sounds nice. Mushroom, please. I've got the squig fart straight fierce.
I'm sorry, that's just freaking brilliant. I'm literally just leaning as far away from my camera as possible so I don't deafen the audience. That's brilliant. Orcs are so British and I love it. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, so for all the jokes about orcs having Cockney accents, well, they're actually British. Yes. Yes.
They drink mushroom or squig tea and get the squig farts, apparently. Funny enough, there's also a mad boy in the story called Talker. And there's one thing he ends up saying when he starts referring to all the orcs as Krork, but starts speaking with a really intelligible accent, like, one must be really careful with the etheric field generator, especially since it won't meld well with the psychoconductive waves of non-Krorks. And the orc just goes, shut it!
Perfect.
And then the talk just goes, a wibble.
Yeah, the Mad Boys, for those who don't know, are the minders of Weird Boys, I think.
No, Mad Boys are just mad. They're orcs whose artificial DNA hasn't settled properly. So they go a bit mad. You're thinking of minders.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought that the mad somethings.
Mad Boys tend to follow warp heads because warp heads start letting off so much like Genshin the Mad Boys are attracted to, and pretty lights.
That's it. I knew Mad Boys and Weird Boys were related. I just couldn't work out how. Because it was in the 4th edition Alt Codex, which I haven't read for years. But that's a fair point. I can't say I've been reading anything in particular because I've been doing a bunch of uni work, as I said for the show.
Yeah.
But
hello. Sorry. I'm so sorry I'm late. I completely forgot about the time.
That's quite all right. We understand. So, now that we've done with the news, we've now been joined by a very special guest. None other than Markiplier has decided to join in with us today. So, firstly, Markiplier, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm good. I got here late. It's not by chance that I'm here in the middle of the show. I just forgot about it, so here I am now.
Fashionably late. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in regards to books and that being read this week, Slaves to Darkness recently came out to general release. I've managed to make a start on it, but I haven't actually gotten that far through it yet.
Yeah, I'm so behind on Heresy books because I just never read them. I never get a chance. Like, I know what happens in half of them. Like, Wolfsbane, I know half of what happens. Old Earth, I know half of what happens. But I never get a chance to actually read them for myself. So I'm a bit blind on Slaves to Darkness. Wouldn't talk about it, but a bit blind.
Yeah, I actually read it recently when I was flying back from Hawaii. So I really liked the book. Was that John French that wrote that one?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So I'm still having trouble like separating the authors from each other, but there's a few authors that if I'm to be totally biased, I like the writing of more than another. So John French, like I really like the style of it. And like I was following up on the wiki, or not the wiki, the subreddit 40K lore afterwards. And I saw that Aaron Dembski-Lebowski was also commenting about the book during the discussion thing. And so it was nice to get this like perspective where this author who works closely with this other author, and this author was supporting this author's ideas throughout the subreddit when other people were like, well, I don't like this about it. I think it should be this. And then Aaron Dembski-Lebowski is it Aaron Dembski-Lebowski? Am I saying that
Aaron
right?
Dembski-Lebowski.
Okay. Lebowden. That's it. Not Lebowski.
No,
not Big
no
Lebowski.
There's no love.
Bowden. Aaron Dembski,
whichever. Yeah.
Anyway, Aaron Dembski Lebowski, he really like spoke to me when he was on the subreddit. It was just like I was really enjoying hearing his thoughts about it, and like kind of just going to other people on the subreddit and being like, no, your thoughts are cool and your headcanons are nice, but this is like what our idea is about it, and so that was nice to see. And I think the book really spelled out a lot of things about chaos in general that me as a like a newbie to this whole universe, like trying to understand all the nuances of it, it kind of spelled it out in a great way, because John French at the end of the book, he even wrote like a 2-page synopsis of his perspective summary of what chaos is, as opposed to like the general consensus of it. Not that it's negating any of the opinions of everybody about chaos, but just like his perspective as an author and one of the people who orchestrates all the ideas behind Games Workshop and what it is in 40K.
Yeah, we've had a couple of authors on the show before, Gav Thorpe and Josh Reynolds. And it is interesting to talk with them about how people work together. And sometimes people work together. Some people work alone. Some people take on ideas because they want to. Some take them on under advisement. Some take them on a bet. It is interesting to see how Black Library's dynamics work. And ADB, if you're struggling with his name, just call him ADB.
I'm going to call him Mr. Big Lebowski.
Fine. But yeah, ADB is one of the more vocal people and one of the more popular authors in general. I think I can speak for most people in the community when I say that. Well,
yeah, ADB, like one of my first book series that I read was actually the Night Lords trilogy. And it was just like, that was just such a nice a book to read, because it wasn't my first book. The first books I read was the Eisenhorn trilogy. And that was just because I didn't know where to get started on it. And some guide recommended that, and it was good. But then when I got into the Night Lords trilogy, it was just this really, really, really cool perspective on the opposite side before I'd even known what sides were what sides.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in terms of Slaves to Darkness, that's obviously Horus Heresy. How much Heresy stuff have you gone back to the first 4 or 5, or are you just picking up the new stuff like Ruin Storm and Old Earth?
I've actually read probably about half of the Horus Heresy books.
You're doing well.
Oh, I've been chain reading these books like crazy. Whenever I get a chance, because I travel a lot. So whenever I'm on a plane, I read. And whenever I have free time, I read. So it's super fun, because I believe Eisenhorn, was that written by Dan Abnett?
It was, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Dan Abnett did the first 3 Horus Heresy books, right?
I think he had a hand in one of them. Graham McNeil, I think, did one. Oh God, I can't even remember who did the first 3 now.
Yeah. Either way, go for it. What was it?
Because Graham McNeil, he wrote. Oh, was it Galaxy? Was it False Gods?
I think he wrote. I think McNeil was Fulgrim. I don't know why.
It was Fulgrim. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think someone with a double barrel name wrote Galaxy in Flames, though I can't back that up. But it wasn't. Anyway,
Horse Rising was Dan Abnett. False Gods was Graham McNeil, and Ben Counter was Galaxy in Flames.
Oh, it's Ben's Counter. What am I talking about?
Yeah, it gets so confusing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if anybody doesn't really have a good understanding. I mean, I called ADB Mr. Lebowski, so what do I really know? Yeah, but either way, like he was part of one of the first 3 books, so I was like, okay, that was an author that I liked the Eisenhorn books, so I imagine I would like this one, and I didn't even know there were 40 other books in the series. Like, I saw these 3 and I thought like, oh, these 3 are it. Like these, I can do 3. And then when I was done with the 3rd one, I was like, that didn't end shit. Like, oh, can I curse, by the way?
You're fine.
Okay. Yeah. That didn't end shit. I gotta, like, what the hell? And then I looked up I finally went to blacklibrary.com because I hadn't gone yet. And I saw like all the different segments. I saw like the fantasy books, and I was like, oh man. Oh no.
It's funny you mentioned that, because on our show, I think a week or 2 ago, was Disharmonia, one of the artists, and she's completely up to date. So I feel so envious for the people who are starting out and have 50 odd books in front of them to chew through.
Yeah, we're literally at book 51 right now.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I do feel it must be really amazing coming in to the Heresy now with all of this, because you've got people like us who are either completely know everything or are broadly across everything, and you get to come in fresh and you've never seen it before and just be like, what the about to happen here?
Yeah, I mean, it's good and it's really bad because it was couldn't get a clear answer of where to start. That was my biggest problem, because I started, oddly enough, by reading the wiki. I was reading like the Lexiconum wiki and 1D4chan, and I was reading these things because it was just like, what, you don't like 1D4chan?
They are the meme masters, and they're always correct, but they are the meme masters.
I know, and that's like what I find fascinating about it, because I would like compare articles from 1D4chan to like Lexiconum, and I would see like just the bias come through in the writing, and I think that would be super fun about it. And it's kind of like almost the same approach that text to speech takes. I love text to speech, don't get me wrong, I love all these things about it, but just like because it's such a ridiculous universe, almost taking it too seriously is a detriment to it. So when I was getting started, I was reading the wiki, and what I do is, after those first few books, I didn't know where to go. So what I do is I just read the wiki until I found something that I wanted to know more about, and then I'd try to hunt down what book that was tied to in the like quoted articles or the credits at the bottom or whatever they're called, the bibliography of it. And then I would go to that book and I'd be like, okay, I want to know about this book. I was like, the Custodes. I was like, I don't know what these things are. Like, so I read from that Watchers on the Throne. And then, what was the book where, it was the perspective of one of the Lords of Terra, or the assistant to the Lords of Terra. He was watching like, the Astronomicon go out.
Yeah, that
like
was
he was there during it. Yeah. That was Watchers of the Throne. Yeah, that one. And then there was another, the Carrion Throne. That was right. I get those two confused. I read the Carrion Throne, and then I read Watchers of the Throne. It was like, okay, I get this idea behind the Custodes. And then I would go back and I'd be like, okay, I need a Vulcan. Who is he? There's some books in the Horus Heresy about that. And I would just bounce back and forth there. But really tough. If you weren't motivated to do it, I don't think anyone would take the strategy that I did and then be just used.
I think that's why it's kind of used. I don't want to blow my own trumpet here, but channels like us who do lore videos on X topic, Y topic.
I think you might just cut out, Michael.
Ah, crap. But yeah, channels like mine and Rem's will take a topic, and Rem is doing his 40k lore for newcomers series at the minute, which is just, here is the basic information you need to know about this right in front of you. Go read it. You don't need to read anything. Just watch this video for 10 or 20 minutes, and you should have the basics down. You want to know more? Channels like mine do quite in-depth lore, and you can go to other places and get more information. You don't have to chew through the books anymore. So it's a bold strategy that you took of wiki, book, chew, but there's more options for you if you do want to just find a particular.
Oh yeah. The videos have been a savior. Like, honestly, the best introduction I think right now today is text to speech. I don't know how what you guys think of text to speech, but like going into that and seeing it from, oh, you're in it? Oh yeah, that's right. You were in it. I saw your character in that a while ago. Do you voice any other guys?
Yeah, I voiced Simon Priestley in the episode that came out last night and a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I just watched that. It was so long that day, and I was just so tired that I couldn't pay attention to half of it, so I got to rewatch it. But when I watched through the first episodes of that by the Sly Marbo video, like I think like a lot of people did, and then I had to look up who Sly Marbo was. But then I got into the text that when I was with the text to speech, like looking at it from a humorous perspective, because it was funny, it was entertaining, like it ease into it. And so I was doing the reading and then the wiki, and then when I found text, oh, this is cool, and I found text to speech from 4chan made on 1D4chan, but then they referenced text to speech, so that's where it came from. And I was like, makes sense.
Yeah.
My question is,
there's so many ways in.
Sorry. If Alpha Busa ever approached you about making an appearance in TTS, would you accept the offer?
I wouldn't want to make an appearance as myself.
I mean, like doing the voice as a cameo. Because like,
I'd be happy.
Because like Takahata from Team 4-Star, he's voicing Abaddon.
Oh yeah. So wait, has Abaddon even showed up in TTS yet?
He made one cameo appearance so far in the Just Eldari Things episode. That's when the big reveal of him taking the role was revealed.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I love Takahata. We haven't talked in a while, but I met him at PAX a few years back, and he's just a real cool guy.
This is just going to be the string of celebrity references, isn't it? We should probably say like how this actually started, how this podcast came together.
I'm sure if you want to give me a rundown.
Oh, no, you name dropped Remleiz.
Did I?
At VidCon, you mentioned, yes, I saw a video footage of you at VidCon saying that you watched my channel.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah. Because, I mean, honestly, what do I watch? Literally, I just watch 40K videos. You should see my, like, suggested video feed on YouTube. It's nothing but 40K stuff. It's to the point where... So it's to the point where it's recommending me videos I've already watched because I don't have many videos left to watch that are new. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
that's how this happened.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and that's where like I don't know. I think you reached out to me, and I was just like, oh yeah, great,
I did.
sure,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm not going to be ashamed in saying that.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, just getting name dropped by you was kind of a big deal because I was like, wait, what? Markiplier watches my stuff? What?
Yeah, because you've got to bear in mind for us, 40K is still a bit of and I don't want to call it a niche hobby because it's bloody popular, but in YouTube terms, it's a niche hobby, and it's just like, what?
I mean, I suppose, like from my perspective, I looked at it because I knew about Warhammer from like the first Dawn of War video game. That was my first introduction to it, and I think a lot of people's first introduction to it. But I didn't play the game. I just watched the trailer. I love the trailer. I love the trailer for all of the Dawn of War games. Dawn of War 3, like, I was really disappointed in the game because it was one of the first ones, like, I actually tried to play and I didn't like it. But it was like the trailer. The trailer spoke to me, like, on a fundamental level. And actually, I think it was the trailer for Dawn of War 3. It came out, like, what was that? 2016? That's when it came out?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so when that came out, I didn't see it right away, but I saw it, and I was just like, this is the most incredibly badass thing I've ever seen in my life. Not only am I inspired to make videos because of this, like, it's just such a cool universe. I want to know about it. Like, that trailer, if anything, like, in terms of, like, marketing or financial flop about Dawn of War, I heard it didn't do well, but if anything came out about it, that trailer alone created fans. Because if it created a fan out of me, it created a fan out of a lot of people. So I don't think that Games Workshop should feel like Dawn of War 3 was a failure in any capacity. Yeah. That trailer was the bomb.
GW have got very good in the last couple of years with their trailers. Going back to something we were talking about in the news with the new Orc War buggy that's coming out, they actually pitched the trailer like a car trailer. So, they fade the words onto screen and like little... like fade in, fade out stuff. Yeah. And they did it like a proper car trailer. It was like, heart, emotion, DACA. It was just,
that's funny. I haven't seen that. Where is that?
It's on, I'll link the article in our little chat. Give me a minute.
It's actually on their YouTube channel as well. Warhammer TV.
Ah, okay.
All right. I've just put the article in there. But yeah, it's GW's trailer game is utterly on point. And their social team have been really, really, really good this past couple of years. So I think there was a lot of changes up in head office a year or two ago, and you notice. Bloody hell, you notice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it caught my attention. I think it's like, I've seen, even me, from my new perspective, I'm seeing a lot more people getting into Warhammer. Not the game, but just like the story behind it, because I don't play the game. And I honestly, I don't really want to play the game, but I love the story. Like, the story is just totally sucking me in.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played, I've been hobbying for 10 years, but I haven't played for 8 months. And I still make weekly lore videos because there's always something that engages me that I want to write about. Whether it's the new god of the Tau, whether it's the history of how such and such a character became who they are and where they are, whether it's whatever, there's always something to engage you in the lore, no matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for super grimdark, it's there. You want something a little bit positive? You'll have to dig for it, but it's there. You want massive murder on a galactic scale? Yep, you got that in spades. There is, and every faction has something. Like, we were talking before about Evil Sun Rising, which is just orcs drinking tea. Mm-hmm. Like, an orc getting out of bed in his hammock and being offered a cup of tea by a Gretchen.
Yeah.
Just. Literally, the conversation was like, do you want a kappa, boss? Yeah, all right. Do you want squig or mushroom? Oh, give me mushroom. I've had the squig farts for ages.
I think I read that book. That was one of the few books or novels, short stories, whatever it is, that's from an orc perspective, which I think is severely lacking. I loved that story. It was fun.
It was brilliant, that story. After reading it, I actually sent a tweet to Guy Haley, who wrote that book, saying, "Can you please write a Ghazghkull Thraken origin story now?" I would buy that novel in a heartbeat.
Oh, I'd buy 10 copies of that and the limited edition. Yes.
Oh yeah, I think just in general, like, 'cause I can get that they can only focus on so many things at once, but what I found is like there was a severe lack of orc stuff, and I need to read the Beast Rises series. I know it's like 12 books. It's intimidating. I haven't been able to get into it just yet.
But I want to read it. Heresy, you do not get to talk about being intimidated. Right.
That's true. Yeah, but I still haven't. I pick and choose in the Horus Heresy. I haven't done that yet.
But, in fairness with the Beast of Rising series, they're coming out in anthologies of like 4 books each in each omnibus, so it'd just be down to 3 books, just 3 very big books.
That doesn't make it any better.
Touche.
That's like the argument of like, well, this is $30 with $5 shipping, but this is $35 in free shipping. Like, it's the same thing. It's just different packaging.
True. Yeah. It just means you just take one book on the plane with you, don't you?
I suppose. I do it all on my phone. I just read on my phone all the time.
Fair enough.
If I had to carry around all these paper books, like I would never do it. And again, that's another thing that's really beneficial about technology these days is I think a lot of people are getting back into books because they don't need a library to house all of their books. They don't need to go to the library to get the books. They can just like have the books on their phone or on their Kindle or wherever they are.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer to read actual paper copy books. And if you're actually gaming, then I find you want paper copies anyway, because I find it easier to through a book for a reference than to remember a page, bookmark a page, and then go back to that page on a Kindle or a tablet. I find it easier just to flick through a book.
Oh, absolutely. The Eisenhorn books, I made a point to buy the books. I bought the trilogy and I read them and I love the feel of paper. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying e-readers are to anybody. I know people are instantly getting mad at me out there in the internet sphere. I'm not saying like e-readers are better than books. It's obvious that books are better than e-readers, but for convenience sake and the ability to carry it with you anywhere, be able to pick it up on the fly without packing a bunch of books in your backpack. Like it's definitely helps the accessibility of it.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah, so I tend to use my e-reader just when books are only available in softback format because I really don't like softback. I prefer having a hardback book. So if the book's available in hardback, I'll buy the hardback. But if it's only available in softback, I'll get the ebook. I know it's kind of weird, but...
If I was collecting books, I would do hardback. I would always emphasize hardback. I mean, they're always going to last longer. But just for ease of use, paperback, like the weight of a hardback alone, it brings me back to my high school days when I was lugging around my science books and my math books. Like, it's just like, oh god, it's such a pain.
Yeah. The recent Age of Sigmar new edition just came out, which is the other game from 40K. If you haven't come across it yet.
I don't know much about fantasy. I read up on a wiki about Age of Sigmar and all that stuff, but I haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, fantasy's dead. But Age of Sigmar, fantasy died about 4 years ago, and it broke the internet. But Age of Sigmar just recently got its 2nd edition, and that thing is about 400 pages hardback. Jesus Christ! I don't care, but Jesus Christ, it's heavy to carry. So just curious.
The stuff inside is very beautiful.
Oh, God, yeah. It's a gorgeous book. So just curious, from your readings in the Heresy, have you come to favor a particular Legion or Primarch?
Not really. A lot of people I see, they defend a certain Legion to the death as better than all the rest. I don't really find myself gravitating either. Maybe just because I don't really identify with anyone or another, but I do come to sympathize with certain characters in it. I know that one of the pet peeves that I have is one of my favorite book series is the Caiaphas Cain Hero of the Imperium series. I read all those back to back. I chained every single one of them because I loved them. It got a little repetitive towards the end, but I still loved them. And it was like, that was a very human perspective and I could get it. It was a person. It was a character, like the way that was written. Yeah. But with Space Marines, one of my biggest pet peeves is like, these are supposed to be monolithic, like superhuman, barely like numbly emotional, not really like relatable characters. But every book I read about Space Marines are they're like devastated with their conflicted emotions, and it's like it doesn't really feel like a superhuman Space Marine, just feels like a super soldier. But anyway, that's not the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is I do find myself sympathizing with these characters, and especially the Primarchs. I find myself going towards the characters that have the most emotional conflict. Like, I've really started to like Perturabo lately, because when I was first starting out, like I was reading the wiki and he was like, he just seemed like a whiny bitch, and that's fine. A lot of characters in Warhammer 40K seem like a whiny bitch. But then, like in recent developments and with things that I've found, it's like he was like he comes out as this like person, if you can even call him a person, but this character that has a lot of loyalty, like a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment to his actions. He wants to see things through to the end. He wants to do that, and he just wants to feel like he's accepted. He's this incredibly smart human. Like, he's incredibly smart. He's incredibly talented, obviously, but it's always used in the wrong way. It's like he's always, it's like Murphy's Law encapsulated in a person. He's really good at what he does, but it always ends up terrible. And I think like that personification of this character and making him this tragic and not even a hero, this tragic villain, like it just makes it a really interesting character. What they're doing with like Kurz was the same way. And I think people identified to that very early on. A lot of people love Kurz. I like him, but he's not my favorite. But a lot of people love Kurz just because he is that tragic hero, or not hero even, that tragic character that sees the future and knows his death is coming, and feels the pressure of that, and is doing like whatever he can to try to change his fate, or even get a glimpse that he's wrong. And like that leads him down this road where his sense of justice is so twisted and perverted by his home world. And that makes a really interesting character. And I think I see them doing that with Perturabo. And I love it. Like, I love that stuff. I don't care if a character is good or bad. I care if that character gets development, like what they did with Gilliman. Like, when he came back, like everyone, or at least I saw on 1D4chan, like everyone was just like, Gilliman is just this like stupid. Everyone hates the Ultramarines. Yeah. They're so very Sue. And then, when it comes out to his resurrection, hates the Imperium, just hates it, can't stand it, is awful. And I love that quote that he has, and that's just like he's shouting to the Emperor, just being like, this rotten Imperium, like it would have been better if Horus actually succeeded and we'd all burned in his ambitions. Like, I love that development, the movement of a character. Like, these are all superhuman whatevers, geniuses, very strong, super reaction speeds, whatever. Like, but if a story can move a character and develop it, I always love that aspect of it.
Should you?
So I'm
sorry. I was talking. I'm so sorry. I'm not
saying because you're absolutely spot on. Because Perturabo, on the surface, is a whiny bitch. You read his stuff, he's kind of interesting. Mortarion, kind of the opposite, actually.
Yeah, that's...
I strongly identify with Magnus the Red. He's my favorite Primarch by 100 miles, because he got screwed. I don't know if you've read Prospero Burns.
Oh, I haven't, but I know what happened. It's just so sad.
Exactly, and I get Magnus for that. And Angron is another one that a lot of people strongly identify with, for the similar reason of he got screwed. Yeah. And it is interesting that you make that point about Space Marines, though, that you get the Primarchs and how they develop, but then you said about the Space Marines that they're supposed to be these monolithic, not really human things, and then they don't do that, and they have these inner conflicts. And I think that's an interesting thing about people coming into the hobby, and what you see on the surface and what you find underneath is so fascinating. Because you look at, I'm sure I could just list off every faction and say first impressions of that faction. But then we could give you 5 counter arguments of like, if you actually read a bit further, they're this, and this. So the Tau, the common meme is they are space communists with Gundams. But you look into them, and it's way more than that. You go look at Commander Farsight, who's a character, who's different. You can find so much, and the Space Marines are the same. They're flawed because well, look at the new Marines. They're improvements on the old Marines. The Marines were flawed. So it is very fascinating to see that different perspective of someone coming in, seeing Marines, and then seeing how they're not how you perceive them to be and how you react to it. It's very interesting just looking at it from someone who's been here for 10 years now.
I think that's why Watchers on the Throne is one of my favorite ones, just because it's from the perspective of a human watching just crazy shit happening. Like when he was watching like Gilliman fight what's the name of the demon, like the Corns hired demon. What's the name? Bloodthirst. Yeah, well, Gilliman's fighting the Bloodthirst, and he's just seeing this, and his brain can't even comprehend it. Like that's an interesting perspective, and I totally get the conundrum of a writer. You can't make a story about a character that has the personality of a stump. You just can't do it. And if you can do it, you can only do it once, maybe twice. When Gilliman came back, it was really interesting to see this character that everyone hated to suddenly be this person that came into a world that he didn't understand, he hated it, the Imperium, and he shouted that quote. And I don't know if you caught me saying that quote, but I put in the actual quote because I butchered it. I know
it is. Yeah, it's probably the most. It's the most iconic quote of 8th edition, I think.
Yeah,
it's a well-written quote, in fairness. I mean, it perfectly encapsulates, how Gilliman must feel, basically teleporting 10,000 years into the future, essentially.
Yeah. I love it.
Because Gilliman now, he's actually, a character I actually start to like now, even though I didn't really like him initially just because I was never really a fan of the Ultramarines. But with how well written he's been in Dark Imperium and, and all the audio dramas associated with that, it's made me, take a shine to him. Kind of like with, have you read Lorgar's Primarch novel, Bearer of the Word?
No, I haven't.
Because that's basically Lorgar's past before he was reunited with the Emperor, when he was found as a small child, within the desert of Colchis, that's it. I was going to say Chikor for some reason. Colchis, yes. And basically when Corferon was raising him, and the amount of abuse Lorgar took as a child, like Lorgar would frequently beat him and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I posted a meme on Twitter basically encapsulating the entire situation. It's like, Papa Corferon, could I read this book? That's a paddling. That's basically the premise of the book. But you actually genuinely feel sorry for Lorgar, and you realise that, everyone hated Erebus for what he did during the Horus Heresy, but everyone should really be hating Corferon because he was being a cunt.
I mean, I hate Corferon because he's incompetent, because he could have killed Gilliman in the Battle for Kelth and decided to basically heel monologue and bollocks his chance of doing it.
Yeah, I read that book too, and that was just bizarre. The whole finality of that book was a little off. I mean, I read that book because I saw on 40K Lore this really nice quote from it, like right as Gilliman was about to charge at the word bearers, like he said that and is like, death is coming, like they hesitate. Like I saw that quote and I was like, oh, I want to read that book. But then after that, when Corferon like spread his wings and smashed into Gilliman, I was like,
what?
Okay. All right. Sure. All right. Here we go. Okay. Just getting to the end of the book. And then like, it just kind of like took me out of it a bit. Cause yeah, he did have his sword. He did have like the, was it a full anatheme or was it just?
I think it was just anatheme.
Anatheme. So yeah, well, even so, it was like, he could have, he was right there, but then he didn't. And it was like, And
it's the same thing in Wolfsbane, which is the more recent one with, Horus and Russ. I don't know if you've had a chance to catch that one.
I have. That was a good one.
Where Russ basically had to turn the spear 45 degrees and Horus was dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think he's not the Warboss, he's my brother again. Like, come with me back to Terra.
I think I get that though. I think I do, because in Russ's mind, he never thought he could beforehand. And like, if you have the certainty of an action that you can't do, he like the warp like visions or whatever, it told him he couldn't. He said he couldn't. Malkador said, yeah, you probably can't. And it's like, yeah, you won't. It's like, even, what was it? Gavril
Loken, yeah.
Yeah, Loken, he was like, you can't. And everyone up until that point said he couldn't. And so it was only like hindsight that made him realize he could. And I think like in terms of character development, like just looking at it from that perspective again, when Russ, like afterwards, he was laughing because he was like, I could have killed him. Like, and it was kind of confusing why he would be joyous. But I think like that moment was kind of a realization that, like your assumptions, your ideas, your thoughts aren't written fate. And so when he had that moment, when he looked Horus in the eyes, it was a moment of confusion for him too, where he was taking him, like it kind of went against it because he hit him and like that's all he expected to ever do. And then having that moment where Horus actually weakened, like I think it's just so confusing to him that maybe there was no way that he could rationalize in his brain in that time span where he had the moment that it could be. And his like instincts kicked in and it was just like, just like, this is my brother. Like I saw my brother again, the person that like I haven't seen since Ulanor. Like I haven't seen this guy. Like you're here and then it's gone. Like before he has a chance to like actually do it. So I think the book decent job of setting up that concept, but you are right. He did have the chance. And if Russ is as vicious as he was, and I haven't read the Prospero Burns or that book yet. And like, just like he is a good executioner of the Emperor, like maybe that is, but that was just what I got from the book. Like I could see why. Yeah. With Corferon, I can't see why.
Yeah, Corferon was just an idiot. Russ, I think it's also the classic good guy has a chance to kill bad guy, but hesitates because reasons cliche. Versus bad guy has chance to kill good guy, but decides to monologue because evil villain cliche. Mm-hmm. They kind of do fall into that trap, but Russ is, as you say, is done really, really well. And there's actually a question that we had from one of our comments regarding the final fight, because the Horus Heresy is coming to its end now. Slaves to Darkness, the traitor legions are gathering for terror. Mm-hmm. So they are going to have to write Sanguinius v. Horus soon. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions was saying, do you think they're going to rework it in such a way, either for Sanguinius' benefit, because there's talk about resurrecting Sanguinius and bringing him back. So are they going to rework? He's not, but they talk about reworking it, but then you could take it the other way. Are they going to prey on, when the Emperor comes in or while Sanguinius is there, prey on Horus's newfound mortality? He can be killed and he knows he can be killed. And Sanguinius is now able to put that chink in his armor. Is that because Sanguinius is just that good? Is that Horus's resolve breaking? They could do some really fascinating things with that fight now. Yeah.
You know what I want to see, though, when that happens? And this, again, novice perspective, but stuff like that. I want to see it be this, like, build up to something Sanguinius is saying, like, how fucking pissed he is. He's got all this rage. Like, that's who he is. Like, that's what we're learning about Sanguinius. And, like, it's this huge build up, and then it's so anticlimactic. Like, Horus just fucks him up in one hit, just like bam. And it's so, because like that, I think it would be so much more emotionally impactful if people like were hoping. And I think like that's a lot of what the Horus Heresy is about. People know what's going to happen. People know, and they hope with all their being that maybe it'll be a little different when it actually happens. But there's no possible way like that it could be different than what it is. And I hope, because what that draws me to is one of the Warhammer Fantasy trailers. I think it was for the MMO. I can't remember what it was, but it was like one of the humans characters. He was like either a priest or something. I don't know the classes or whatever in the game or in the story. But he was fighting this chaos war. Do you guys remember this trailer at all?
Yeah, it was the warrior priest against the chaos warrior, wasn't it? Yeah.
And like he gets hit in the side and he goes down, but then he like raises his hammer to block it and he starts praying and he's got all this power surging through him. Like this golden light screams out of him. And then the chaos warrior just kicks the dagger deeper into his side and smashes his skull in. Like so anticlimactic, but so in universe. Like it's like you can have all the hope and prayers and like, oh, I'm gonna get you, and then just fuck him up, just like bam.
It's kind of like Indiana Jones 1 to make a sort of out of universe reference.
Yeah, exactly. Like a fancy sword swing and then just gun, like just like that. I feel like. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
I think coming at it from someone who's been in the hobby for a while, I get the idea of build up, squib. I get it, and I think if they do that. They've got to be careful if they do that. Exceptionally careful. But if I get the feeling that they're either going to go build up, squib, or it's going to have to be the most dramatic fight they've ever written, and I worry they can't do it. Not because the writers aren't good enough, but because we
Such high
can't...
expectations.
Exactly. This is Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. This is the biggest fight in the universe. Pretty much. Part 1 and Part 2, Sanguinius and the Emperor. This is the fight. They can't write it well enough to meet our expectations.
Oh, no way. No way.
So going for the Sanguinius fight being build up, squib, so that the Emperor fight that goes on for a bit longer, where the Emperor gets beat down, but he might be holding back, and that shows just how far above the Primarchs the Emperor is, and how far the Chaos Gods have pushed Horus through his power, that he can squash the greatest Primarch warrior of all in 3 seconds flat.
Which
with
makes
just a
me
dent in his...
wonder how they're going to implement Alanius Pius into all this.
Yeah, because they've been building him up, and I have no idea.
We
I don't
think
know
that was a freak
him.
accident, but yes, they have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say that originally it was Alanius Pius who charged at Horus alone when the Emperor was mortally wounded, even though the original law was just a Terminator. Alanius Pius came in and issued White Dwarf many years later, but yeah, I think they're kind of building up Alanius Pius being a perpetual and everything like that. It's just to show when Horus does kill him, it just shows how freakishly powerful he's become. Hey, this is how powerful Horus is now. He can kill an immortal.
Yeah, he can smash down a Primarch and an Immortal in 5 seconds flat and go toe-to-toe with the Emperor for X amount of time, beat him down even if the Emperor's holding back. It makes Horus this utter monster, and you just think, if you're someone who is new and is reading and has been told, okay, go read the Horus Heresy. We're not going to tell you what happens. Don't look at the new stuff. Just go read that. If you've just read the Horus Heresy, maybe you've never heard of one, and you just read the Horus Heresy series, you get to that and you start to think, how the hell are they going to beat Horus? And it then, for those people who don't know, will be more awed at the Emperor, and those who do know will get the payoff of a satisfying monster being put down. And it shows why the Emperor needed to be put on the Golden Throne.
I still kind of want them to kind of do a swerve in regards to Alanius Pius, replace Alanius Pius with Garviel Loken, just so we can come full circle with the whole I was there when Horus slew the Emperor monologue thing. Because if
I could see the satisfaction out of that. And I think that's a very careful line that authors have to walk a lot, especially when, this stuff has already happened in the minds of fans. Everyone knows how it's going to end. They just don't know how it happened during. That's just a very careful line to get enough satisfaction for fans with maybe actions like that, and then but not betraying the core identity of it. So it is really hard. I don't envy the authors at all. It's not going to be easy.
No. I think in that regard, there is a little bit of wiggle room, but considering in the older lore, it has that person interrupting the fight has been described as a Space Marine Terminator, Alanius Pius, a Custodian. It's been changed so many times. I think there is the wiggle room to put in Garviel Loken in that position. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that kind of, renders Alanius Pius' character and a whole story arc, moot. So it is a very delicate line, unless you have somehow fix it so both of them show up, or whatever.
Maybe Loken's with Dawn and he arrives too late.
I think what it's got, when I was reading about that first off, because that was one of the earliest things I read about, what I liked emotionally and the symbolism of it was that it was just a normal human that tried to save the Emperor. I think that symbolically was very nice. And what I very personally, and this is not canon in any way, shape, or form capacity, how Alanius Pius has a few companions with him that aren't immortals and stuff like that? If somehow Alanius Pius has this great, seeking, he knows his destiny, he's walking towards it, but he's got these people with him. If it's not him, it's not a Terminator, not a Space Marine, not Garviel Loken, not a Custodes. It's one of the people with Alanius Pius that throws themselves in front of the Emperor, kind of robbing Alanius Pius of his destiny, but at the same time showcasing that it was such a normal human, just such a very basic normal human that wanted to protect the Emperor so
that could work.
And And that's just me personally. I know that's probably completely ridiculous, but just for me, like, I think that would emotionally connect it for me. But that's just me being a sappy piece of shit.
To be fair, there are so many ways they could write that. Right? And like I say, I don't envy them. They're going to piss people. They're going to blow people's minds and break people's hearts and piss everybody off all in one sentence. They could so easily do that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I really cannot wait to see that put pen to paper and see that final fight. But on the other hand, as much as they're writing the past, they've now got to write the future, because obviously we've had this time jump. The Primaris are here, Guilliman's here. I'm curious, coming in, what your opinion is on the Primarchs today, because obviously the traitors are back, Guilliman's back. I don't know how much you know of the Dark Angels, but there's been a lot of talk for additions and additions of Lion coming back, and Russ and Dawn, and Vulcan's a perpetual, but he's not, and it's weird.
Dawn's just Schrodinger's Primarch at this point. He's both dead and alive at the same time. In the same book, he's described as, his body was never found, only his hand was found, but his body was found, but he's also alive, but he's dead and turned into a piece of amber, and now I've gone cross-eyed.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Continue.
I was just curious, like, if you were someone who would think, yeah, I'd like to see Lionel Johnson back. Yeah, I think we need another loyalist back, or I really want to see these two Primarchs square off, or want to see more about why this Primarch disappeared and what they've been doing since, like we've seen with Korax in the anthology Sons of the Emperor, who's turned into a raven monster. And so
yeah. Me personally, because I don't have any real personal connection to the Primarchs, I don't want anyone to come back because I want to see like what they do in this Imperium. I think for the story, if I would see where it's going with what they got so far with Guilliman coming back, that makes sense because he's just a good empire builder. He's very good at the organizational. He's almost too perfect to come back first. So when it comes out to the other things, I would only want to see, where they're going with it, because they've got to be going somewhere with it. I don't think that they're going to do an Age of Sigmar and blow up the entire, galaxy and restart everything. That can't be what they're going towards. They wouldn't build all this up if they weren't. But what are they going towards? Like, the galaxy split in half. I get that. Like, it's war, even more constant war than ever before. But there's this weird thing of hope, like, coming out of it. And it's like, there's got to be another big conflict that's coming. I just can't see what it is.
Because there's a sort of a headcanon that I have, was that End Times Fantasy, when they blew that universe, was received so badly that they retconned the Gathering Storm to not blow the universe up. Because Gathering Storm, both Rem and I were talking about this earlier, was horrendously, and sometimes you wonder, well, I wonder sometimes, was the End Times AOS backlash so strong that they thought, shit, we can't do that, let's rehash it?
Yeah, but at the same time, Gathering Storm came out how many years after End Times?
About 2.
Yeah. Because with Gathering Storm, like, Fall of Cadia, that was a strong start, had some flaws, but a very strong start. Fracture of Biotan,
off the rails.
And then Rise of the Primarch. It's just,
I haven't read those books, so I know almost nothing about it, just what the wiki has told me. So that is not an area of expertise for me.
Fair enough.
Gathering Storm 1, I think, was agreed a really solid. They put Cole was a bit of a Deus Ex Machina, but Celestine was there. Trazyn was involved. The Necron Pylons and these old structures that I think had been around for yonks were involved. And then the planet broke before the Guard did. Insert meme here. And then Fracture of Biotan decided to go, right, let's introduce a new god of the Eldar, and let's create Resurrection of the Dead, and let's blow up a craft world. We blew up a planet last time, let's blow up a craft world. And then let's nearly destroy another one, and then let's introduce the idea of Code Swords, and it didn't, I'm not saying it read like fan fiction. That's harsh. But it felt a bit disjointed and like it didn't belong. And then when they tried to bring them together for Rise of the Primarch, it was just, oh, these characters you remember from the last book? Well, they're here now, and here's Guilliman, and let's have a big, long, jolly old mosey off to Terra. Oh, wait, Magnus.
Now Guilliman's got a girlfriend.
Yay!
Hey, Gav Forbes said it was canon.
He didn't know what you were talking about.
Yes, he did.
It's always good when you corner an author, trick them into the answer.
Hey, we had him on here and asked him, is Gilliman and Ivrain dating canon? And he said, well, why wouldn't it be? So
that's a good point. It's a good point.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Sure. Yeah, that's been my not hot take, it's been a year now, but that's been my take on Gathering Storm, is it just felt disjointed and rushed, and I can't help but wonder. That's all. But yeah, it'll be curious to see what they do going forward.
You can always count on the logic of money. What is Games Workshop going to do for more money? Because at the end of the day, we love this universe. It's a really cool one. But at the end of the day, they're going to find where the most money is. That was one of the reasons why they reset Fantasy, because it wasn't making money and they wanted to make Sigmarines so that they could sell better figurines, right? That was the basis of it. Maybe. Okay.
It's just Sigmarines. I hate that.
Stormcast of Turtles. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So just pet peeve.
Sorry.
Triggered Michael.
Stormcast Eternals, but the figurines are cool, and even I was like, those are cool. Like, I like the look of them. It's cool, and that's what Warhammer follows most of the time. The rule of cool. It goes where the cool is. Yeah. I like the Space Marines because they're cool. I like the universe because all war, all time. That's cool. Like, that's so badass. Like. So, I mean, when it comes down to like where the future goes, it's always a safe bet to imagine the route that makes them the most money, and that's probably what they're going to be going for. Which means more Primarchs. Yay. Yay. All right, fine. Yeah, and that's where it can work out. If that's what people want and that's what makes money, like they kind of go hand in hand. Most of the time, like with a company like that, what people want is usually what makes the most money. And that's where the juxtaposition of like, well, is this perfect for the story, or is this perfect for setting up the table to give people what they want and raise our profits? And I'm not saying anything detrimental about like, yeah, a business has to make profits. I'm not saying that that's inherently bad, but inherently for stories, that's usually where it goes. Yeah.
I can understand why they brought Gilliman back. I mean, initially I was like, why Gilliman? Why did it have to be the Ultramarines? But then after thinking about it, it's like, actually, he was the only one who made sense because he was the only Primarch that anyone knew where he was.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it had to be him, didn't it?
Yeah, it was when you think about it, it was Gilliman or it was Lion. Lion we knew was alive, but only the Watchers in the Dark knew was there. We know because we're the omnipotent observers but in universe, we're the audience, but the Watchers in the Dark are the only ones who know he's there. Yeah. Whereas with Gilliman, everybody knows where he is, but he's dead, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So it was either one of the two, and in an in-universe logic, it had to be Gilliman. Yeah. So it's annoying for us because we've seen Ultramarine fanboyism. We lived through the Matt Ward era.
Oh God!
Sorry, Matt Ward. Sorry, Webb. But
don't confuse Webb with the Matt Ward.
I know, I'm joking.
But wait, before you continue, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I've heard about Matt Ward so much, like he's joked about on 1D14. I don't know who he is.
Okay, Matt Ward was the author of the 5th edition Space Marine Codex, and potentially the 6th edition one, I'm not sure.
And the Grey Knights Codex as well.
Yes, and he is the one generally accused of giving the Ultramarines and Grey Knights the biggest case of Mary Sueism in the universe. Mm. So he's a bit of a butt joke at this point, and I feel mean saying it, I do. But when you think about it from us, and then going back to the whole Gilliman point, it's just like, we've had enough of the Ultramarines being pushed, thank you very much.
Yeah, especially with comments like, no other Space Marine chapter can ever hope to be as great as the Ultramarines, and it's like... It's like, I'm sorry, but I like my Black Dragons, thank you very much.
Oh, the Black Dragons are awesome.
Oh, wait, was that an actual quote from Matt Ward?
Pretty much. It was paraphrasing, but it was pretty much a quote from the Space Marine he wrote,
Almost verbatim.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah. Was it Matt Ward who wrote the story about the Grey Knights basically killing a whole bunch of Sisters of Battle to cover themselves in blood to protect themselves from a weapon that attacked blood?
Probably.
I got confused by you just saying that, so I have no idea where you're going.
I'm not sure who wrote that, but it sounds like this whole thing. It's a TTS joke, so I assume it was.
No, it's actual canon. That
I know, but it's a joke made by TTS, so I assumed it was.
Basically, it's an event known as the Bloodtide Heresy. The Bloodtide was like a chaos virus thing that attacked the blood, and so the Grey Knights protected themselves by coating themselves in blood of Sisters of Battle.
because they were pure enough to survive it.
Despite the fact that Grey Knights are meant to be pure enough as it is, but hey. It was kind of sad.
And we just broke Mark.
Oh yeah, the blood, the whole blood thing. I know TTS makes a lot of jokes about it. Sister, I need your blood to make some...
That.
Yeah.
That. Exactly that.
That's funny. That's funny, though. Like, I think if you can't laugh at some of the weird, like, discrepancies in the lore, then, like, what's even the point of loving a universe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can laugh at. I mean, just look at the Necron Blood Angel Alliance, for one. That was just...
Oh, I didn't read the book, but I heard about that.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Yes, the spawner of a million memes.
But then, you have sometimes where Imperial Xenos alliances happen. Caiaphas Cain for the greater good.
Oh, hell yeah.
True. But at the same time, I think this was back at the time when Necrons wanted to exterminate all life in the galaxy.
Yeah, I think the Silent King was back, so it was post 5th edition Necrons, I think.
Oh,
the Silent King was involved.
I thought this was old Cron still.
I think the Silent King was involved in that alliance thingy-majigger, so I can't have been pre-Necrons.
Oh, fair enough.
All right, I actually will have to be going soon, but before I leave, I wanted to get your opinion on something.
Shoot.
I'm gonna put a picture in Leal Discord here, and I kind of just wanted to get your opinion on the design. Just this is totally outside of lore, but just design perspective of Space Marines. Because I saw a lot of people being up in arms about this between which model of Space Marine they liked more. You know what I mean? The one in the middle is obviously from Dawn of War 3, and the one on the right from Dawn of War 2. I just want to get your opinion on it.
I will say, I never played the Dawn of War games beside Dark Crusade, which generally the best one, at least of the original batch. But the one in the middle, the Dawn of War 3 snapshot, looked stupid lanky. The Dawn of War, it's interesting because I don't know what mark of power armor that even is. It looks like Mark 7, but the knee pads are wrong in both cases. Just for context, what we're seeing here for the viewers, there's a 3-part image of Buzz Lightyear, a Dawn of War 3 Space Marine, and a Dawn of War 2 Space Marine. Just for context, because this is not a visual recording. But yeah, there was a lot of up and arms. I think a lot of the up and arms design for Dawn of War 3 was around the fact. Well, I think it was around the buildings and the art style that went into the buildings, so they were all shaking about and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with the Space Marines myself. Yeah.
The only reason I ask is because I think it's a weird, like, perspective thing. I think looking at this, people see the kind of same thing as, like, the blue dress that was, or the dress that was blue and black or white and gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you say he looks super lanky, but I see someone unbelievably tall, and it's like that kind of thing, because I see it from the perspective that he's ludicrously tall, but on the one on the right I see a relatively normal height kind of tall human in more armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I get what you mean about it. I think the legs are just out of proportion with the arms are shorter than his bloody thighs, and it's just like, I don't know, just something feels off about the proportions of it, which is why I say it. Whereas the Dawn of War 2 Marine, to my mind, is a bit of a better proportion to Astartes. Not that Astartes are particularly well proportioned; those shoulder pads are incredibly impractical.
Yeah, to me, the Dawn of War 2 guy looks more like a warrior. If that makes sense.
And that's so, like, because when I was watching all the Dawn of War stuff, like when it was in the trailers, Dawn of War 2, I could totally see it as like this really robust tank of a man. And I was like, that's super cool. But then when I saw Dawn of War 3, I'm like, oh my God, that guy looks like he could cross a football field in 2 seconds and kill me. Like, it was super weird, because I can totally see what you mean by that guy is much skinnier. He looks skinnier. He looks like he's not lanky, but in my mind, he's 8 feet tall and weighs about 400 pounds, and it's super weird. I have no opinion one way or another. I don't really care. It's all design. Like, these aren't real things. Like, it's all subjective to what it is. I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
No, that's totally fair. Yeah. Interesting, because I'd never noticed that. Seeing it side by side is the first time I've ever noticed how different how much they changed the proportions from 2 to 3. More now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I wanted. I got to get going. I got to get started on a live stream of my own. But just thank you guys so much for having me on here to talk. I'm sorry I talked too much.
Oh, you're completely fine. You're welcome back on another show anytime. I'm harping at you for the rest of time to have you back on this show. because that's what our viewers do. Thank you, viewers. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And Rem, were you about to say something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you for joining us. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, well, thanks again. And if I have free time, I would love to come back on and talk more about it once more lore comes out and or I learn.
Sure thing. And if you have any questions, and you have any lore questions, well, you're talking to a walking encyclopedia and me. You'll be fine.
I will. Thanks again, guys. See you around.
All right, ta-da. Bye. All right, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I don't really know what to say now, but that was something that we weren't sure how it was going to pan out, and we're really thankful to Mark for coming on, and we know, obviously, he's a busy man with a busy bloody schedule, so thank you again for that. How long have we been going now?
Just under 2 hours, but I cut out for about 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll have a quick scan of a couple of quick questions, and then we'll call.
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay, have you read Ash to Prospero?
I have, yes.
Someone asked what was your favourite part?
To be honest, there was not much in that book I did like, to be honest. I thought that book was... Out of the Conquest series, it's easily the worst one. There was a lot of stupid shit in it, like, the whole scene with Lucas the Trickster, going full Bugs Bunny on Magnus the Red. Or, Njal Stormcaller falling asleep, in a chair made from a psychic skeleton of a wolfen, and then oh shit, I fell asleep in this chair, now I've got 1,000 Sun Sorcerer stuck in my head.
Yeah.
It was full of dumb shit. I'm sorry.
When you say weakest of Conquest, to be fair, it's comparing to two really, really, really good books.
Yeah, I mean, Devastation of Baal, that's,
possibly the best book I've ever read.
I wouldn't go that far personally, but it was an extremely good book.
You've read a lot more than me. That's, in terms of actual physical, sat down and read a book. Of the books I've read, one of the best.
I mean, personally, I prefer Dante's standalone novel to it, myself.
Fair.
But, out of the Conquest series, Ashes of Prospero is flat out the worst. I mean, if I had to choose one moment as being my favourite, it'd probably be that scene where those 1,000 Suns who were still fighting the Horus Heresy come out of that stasis field, and they instantly just turn to dust because of the rubric.
That is kind of it. That's an interesting one.
And then Jarl Stormcaller just goes, all this dust. Pretty much verbatim he does that. And then the Sorcerer's Head's like, what the hell is happening?
Okay, one here, going back to orcs, since we were talking about orcs and orc vehicles. Do looted orc vehicles still play by the rules of the war energy? As in, if enough orcs die or don't think it will work, will it just stop working and fall apart?
If it's looted and they've replaced a whole bunch of the stuff, then I would assume so.
Yeah.
But if it's still got its mostly working components, then it might not. It might still work even if there's no one believing it will. It depends how many of the original components are still in working order, I suppose. Yeah,
and I suppose if the mech boy's got a reputation for fixing stuff, that would help. Let's see. There's one more I saw that I quite like the look. Sorry.
Speaking of orcs, I found that I recently rediscovered that Gorka Morka took place in M35. There's a fact for you.
I don't know what. Oh yes, because that has relevance to Krons, doesn't it? Who were there?
Yes.
Okay.
Before Krons were properly a thing, even though they were a thing, but it's just,
Yeah, okay, one question here. I think we both know the answer to this, and I think some people will know the answer. Clarify. How can the Emperor tolerate being in the presence of Sisters of Silence? Does their anti-psycho abilities just not affect him, or is he just too OP, please nerf, and he can just shrug it off?
Yeah, the latter.
Has he actually stated that, or is that just assumed?
Well, considering there's artwork of him standing right next to Sisters of Silence, and he's just like, I'm the Emperor, bitch. I'm pretty sure, he's not... either he's being affected and he's just putting on a really good poker face, or he's just so powerful that there's not enough of them to make too much of a dent in him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But then again, you look at Magnus, who's generally regarded as the second most powerful ever.
But he still wasn't on the Emperor's level.
No, but a group of Sisters of Silence, how many squads went to Luna? not loads, and they were able to weaken him enough that he got banished to the webway.
But that was also when he was in his demon form.
Even in human form... Well, actually, it's interesting...
In his demon form, don't think their mere presence will disrupt him because he's made of warp energy.
Touche. And then you look at the Burning of Prospero itself, where on that front, Magnus does kind of just go on a tear regardless. Yeah. And the Thousand Suns literally were blowing the Space Wolves out of the water everywhere there weren't Sisters of Silence, which is basically wherever Russ wasn't, because they all gaggled up together.
Yeah.
So I guess he is probably just OP enough to brush it off. I'd be interested to see how much human Magnus was affected by Sisters if they ever talk about him in his Crusade days. Because I don't know. I'm just curious, actually. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I think just for the sake of time, we'll leave the questions off there. Sorry that again, but now we haven't really had any questions for a couple of episodes. Sorry about that. But I think with episode 50 being what it was and this episode being what it was, we hope you understand. But make sure to leave your questions and we will try and answer them at some point in the future.
Yeah, so we deeply apologize for not getting to them sooner.
Yeah, but sometimes the episode 50 was episode 50. Yeah,
it was a clusterfuck. Let's not sugarcoat it. It was a clusterfuck. That's what made it funny.
Yeah, it wasn't funny for me, but it was funny in hindsight.
It was the Ian Watson Appreciation Podcast, which episode 2. If you want episode 2 of the Ian Watson Appreciation Podcast, leave a comment below.
The Ian Watson Roast Cast.
No, it's the Appreciation Podcast, so we can talk about his giant boob buildings with laser nipples.
Let's make that an episode where I'm not there, shall we?
We'll make it an episode for your channel. There we go.
Again? Really?
Well, yeah, we've got to keep tradition going,
Oh, I'm going to have episode 100, aren't I?
You are.
Damn it. All right, fine.
We'll get Ian Watson for episode 100.
Oh, no, now you've said that live on air. Everyone's going to make you...
Okay, we'll try and get Ian Watson on there for episode 100.
Did you see the thing that David Geimer tweets out, the author? So
yes.
Improving my work to Ian Watson, and I don't know how to feel about this.
And everyone was like, "Oh, you poor thing."
I saw that tweet. I was like, "Oh, you poor soul."
Poor David Geimer.
It was his Iron Hand stuff as well. Like, what?
Well, do you know what that means? The third Iron Hands book's got to have, an Iron Hand with laser nipples now. He's got to do it. There we go. There's the head desk.
That was an elbow desk, but sure. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode. Actually.
Yeah, it was my hosting job, so I should be doing the closing. It's like getting ahead of yourself. God's sake. It's like James and Richard Hammond on the train again, isn't it? Only a few people will get that reference.
I barely get it. Go on.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us for this episode of Adeptus Podcastus. We hope you enjoyed having the surprise special guest of Markiplier joining us, even if he sadly couldn't join us for the entire show, but man's a busy man. So thank you to Michael from Tactica Imperialis as always.
Pleasure.
And to everyone listening at home, thank you very much for joining us. This has been Remleiz from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.